and help build homes and
Hey Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilo of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Deani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations, and Deani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 13, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 19. Grab your elegant box of French macarons from Nicolette's Macarons in Plymouth, conveniently located off Highway 169 and 36th Avenue. Stop in their store or place your online order at nicolettesmacarons.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
We are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power. We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings of Wounded Knee.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Kanjahade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilo. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events. And as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we got a jam-packed show today. We got Nikki Love on and Ruth Anna Buffalo checking in. Really excited to have space for our friend Nikki. Nikki, welcome back. It's been a while that you've been on Native Roots Radio. Thank you so much for being on again.
Yeah, appreciate it. I wish I could come on not just in times of crisis, but I am happy to get a space to be able to share. So Chimagwich for having me on again.
Right on. We have a lot to talk about. Talk a little bit about what mud is to our listeners out there. We're on over 30 stations across the United States, and maybe they don't know what we're going to be talking about.
Here's some info about United States.
Sorry, my Apple Watch wanted to tell me what the United States was. Must have thought I was asking it a question. But yes.
We're asking that right now. A good question, Watch.
Yeah, we're asking. Apple Watch, I think, has series more has a sense of humor more than I may have given her credit for. But yes, I'm with Tiwahe Foundation. I'm also Boys for Anishinaabe, and moved back to the Twin Cities about 8 years ago now. And and I would just say that the Metropolitan Urban Indian Directors, or acronym MUD, has been around for decades, maybe as long as I've been alive. And it's gone through different seasons, but its core is it's a group of leaders from all of the different Native organizations in the Twin Cities Metro. And right now, I believe we have about 35 or so organizations, all of which are pretty active, and just a beautiful tapestry of just gifts that they offer our people in terms of direct services, healing work, and just access and connections, right? And resources. And a lot of them do policy and advocacy work, which is very important in times like this. So just saying, it's a collective that cares about our community, cares about our urban Native people. And a lot of times we work alongside our other community leaders that are also grassroots and on the ground, especially in times like this. That's good.
Well, it's great. We got Ruth Anna joining us too. Ruth, Peeny Gigi for coming on and talking about what's happening now in Minnesota. It's occupied by ICE, and I know your organization, Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, is really doing a lot of boots on the ground and helping our community stay safe, as always. Thanks for coming on again.
Yeah, Dosha, hello, and Madzagidad, tongue-tied. Thank you for having MIWRC. It's good to see you, Nikki and Robert. But yeah, we're just helping where we can, and wanting to make sure that everybody's safe and taken care of first too. But yeah, we were closed last Thursday and Friday, and then sort of sprung into action, I guess you could say, behind the scenes on Saturday, and meeting requests for diapers and food, so and then it kind of gave us a little more courage, I think, because a lot of us were just really hunkered down and a little apprehensive to be in public spaces or group convenings, just because of the nature of how everything has escalated.
Yeah, and again, Ruth, I appreciate you coming on. And one of the things I want to talk to you about in a little bit, and I'm going to get to Nikki right now, but talk to you in a little bit about is how are we all, we're hydrating, and how are we keeping our own soul and our own sanity in this. And I'm going to get back to you. Nikki, talk a little bit about what MUD has been doing. And I know personally, because I'm here in the Twin Cities and I'm in St. Paul, just a skip hopping away from Franklin Avenue, how MUD leadership is really taking hold of what's happening. And I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but it's definitely a red alert out there. We haven't seen anything like this since George Floyd.
Yeah, and we've been talking internally how this isn't even anything like George Floyd. We were saying just a lot of, I think, things were learned about how to organize resources quickly. I know that was done during the Wall of Forgotten Natives. Our communities came together, both the organizations. MIWRC was really big then, also as being a core on the ground organizer, and then also working with just grassroots, right? People that are able to deploy their kinship networks really quickly. And so I think a lot of those learnings were carried over. There were other learnings in terms of those that were on the ground, community patrol and protectors that learned how to mobilize quickly, and those things were brought here as well. But the types of, I'll just say the types of, and we can come back to this, but the threats and the risks that were faced fundamentally different between then and now. And so still nothing like 2020, but in terms of coming together, MUD always comes together. Ruth is also on MUD leadership. She's our treasurer. And so we're, as a core group meeting all the time. The bigger group is meeting at least monthly. And then there's committees, one of which was, I just saw Ruth almost just less than an hour ago at the Public Safety Committee, which you can imagine was that room was packed out at the American Indian Center today. And there were representatives across different jurisdictions and law enforcement. And so that's one, I think, power of MUD is just a convening power to be gathering all of the smartest and the best hearted people from all these different jurisdictions and from our community. But I wanted to say, and then we can talk at any time more about that issue of public safety. And I think that for folks that haven't been as tuned in and here in the Twin Cities, you could even Google Powwow Grounds has been like the hub right now and kind of headquarters, ground zero for organizers here in the Twin Cities for those that are keeping our community safe. And when we do that, it was clear too, we're not just talking about how to provide direct services, food, and other key needs just to our Native community members here in South Minneapolis and beyond, but to everyone. But I just wanted to say one last thing before I take a breath and see what else you'd like to ask us, Robert. But just wanted
we're going to be on all hours, so we're just breathe gently, and we're going to be on all hours. So your message is very important, and what I think and believe too, with both of you, it's going to be great to bring out the truth, because there's so much misinformation out there now. And so that's why I'm really excited to always have Ruth Anna on, and now you too, Nikki, about what's happening, what's really happening.
Yeah, just the one thing I'd add before we can dive deeper, and thank you for having us on, Robert, is just that our relational care networks are being tested, right? And our people deserve also to be resourced to do all the work that they're doing to keep our community safe. So we can talk more about that. I know there's donations that are going directly to some organizations, as they should, where they're like specific to what they do, like, right? And then there's some that are going through like the hub organizers, like Indigenous Protectors Movement. But there will be, I just have to say that a lot of the organizing, a lot of the sourcing and the resourcing are happening from our organizations. Ruth could speak to that also, but we're all pooling budgets that were already strapped in the first place, already overextended, and we've noticed a field, whether it's governmental funding, and we know what state that's in now, or private philanthropy, kind of withdrawing in the latest moments. And so we need that to reverse, because we're keeping our community safe and everyone has a role.
Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. We're with Ruth Anna Buffalo and Nikki Love, and we're going to be right back talking about our community here in Minneapolis. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, we're here with Nikki Love, CEO of Tiwahe Foundation, and our friend Ruth Anna Buffalo, CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center. I wanted to just say Minneapolis, but it's Minnesota. Hey, thank you guys for coming on. Ruth Anna, I want to get with you real quick and ask you a couple questions. One of the things that we've known each other, you and I, for many years now, and you've been a great guest over all these years when you were a rep in the Dakotas, and saw you at Standing Rock and at Wounded Knee and all those great places. How are you and your family taking care of yourself? Because this is something leadership, and I know me, I just have a little, radio show with, 30 affiliates out there, and I know I'm stressed.
Yeah, thank you. We've really been staying put. So we haven't, we're not trying to live in fear, but we're also just trying to be to adjust with the times. And so we've just been watching a lot of movies and cooking. Really haven't gone outside too much. We have gone on drives and things, but with caution. But yeah, I would say just kind of hibernating in a way if we can, resting and watching movies and cooking. My daughter, the oldest, sort of started to like cooking, so that's been fun. But yeah, just kind of watching their shows with them and their series. So yeah, it's.
Yeah, I'm glad you are. Nikki, what are you doing? I know you're right on boots on the ground also, and I've seen you in community all over the place. You and Ruth. This is wearing on us. How are you taking care of yourself?
I think there's some element of for a lot of us, like adrenaline too, of just wanting to be useful, wanting to be in service. But I think for me, it's the at night with my dad and with my kids, but just being able to decompress, watch some comedy or share some comedy. Or my youngest is 6 years old, and she's the performer in our family. So sometimes she's the comedy. And I think just getting to be able to plug in a little bit with them, and as much as we can, trying to not completely shield them from the discussion or what's happening, especially since they're hearing whistles. We had an ICE vehicle roll up on the car, and then I'll just say the community protectors with the whistles and the physical presence, right? Nothing happened. So they're aware, but it's also, we just have a safe bubble to just let them be, and try not to heavily talk about a lot of the I guess it would be scarier details in front of them. And I'd be also lying if I didn't say a little bit of comfort eating with like cake and stuff. That was last night.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have Arvina Martin from Madison, because we have 30 affiliates in Wisconsin, and she comes on once a week, and she talks about the Golden Girls. That's her jam to check out, and I'm going to have to try and do that. Okay, you guys can laugh. This is a radio show. Go ahead, Ruth. I can't hear you. I know you're laughing on the radio.
I was laughing about that, but then when I just remembered when I was like 14, we moved to a different area, and I had a different high school, and I was watching the Golden Girls after school a lot as a 14-year-old, and my dad was like, "I think you're depressed," and he was like real worried about me. I was like, "I just think they're funny. I'm not depressed."
Yeah. Well, I know. So let's talk about what's going on in the community. Now, I shared out live the news conference. Can we talk a little bit about the news conference for people that haven't seen it on my TikTok and my social medias? Some really, really great information. And that's what I want you and Ruth Anna to talk about too, is what the heck is going on out here in Minneapolis. I talked to my friends and relatives in Wisconsin, and they don't have the 4,000 ICE agents there right now yet, but they're attacking us because of we're such a bright blue state.
Yeah, I can what comes to mind too is the statistics that Dr. Stately was sharing tonight or this evening, earlier today at the Metro Urban Indian Directors Public Safety, like the regular scheduled meeting. But, just the simple fact that the percentage of migrants or immigrants in the area, that it is far lower in other areas of the state and country, yet there's an oversaturation of federal ICE agents. There's said to be more on the way tonight, like 1,000 more, and then a march this Saturday. So people are pretty scared and on high alert and trying to be proactive as much as they can to prepare and keep the neighborhood and community safe. But there's really lots of work to do, I would say, for sure.
Yeah. One of the things that I know from, I'm a board member of a couple different boards, and one of the boards talks about that there's 75,000 Native Americans in Minneapolis, just Minneapolis, not St. Paul, not surrounding suburbs, and over 115 different tribes are recognized. So we have relatives that have blood from our relatives down south, and we have people being hassled, and they don't care about our tribal IDs. Nikki, what can we do to protect ourselves when because I'm flying out of Minnesota here in a couple days, and I know there's 20 ICE agents out there just harassing people constantly.
Well, I will say I'll answer from just one perspective, but I think Ruth might even have like a deeper dive, because I appreciated even in our first talks last week, what a day out from, a day or so out from when Renee Good was fatally shot, was just also bringing in Native American Rights Fund. So one of the things that I've told even my nephew, I have my nephew, also my like my son, so he's 16, write that number on your hand, write my number on your hand. So it's 303-447-8760. There are also, whistles that people can pick up at powwow grounds. There are also alarms that people are sharing. Ruth and I were just at the public safety meeting, and these were passed out. So there's a whistle, and there's emergency contact cards that folks can keep in their pocket. I know we talked about the MUD website, MUDMN.org, being kind of as much as we can, keeping it to be a in real time repository of new resources and connections. But we were saying, call that number I just gave, the phone number, is for if you need a lawyer, if you are detained, right? And we keep encouraging peaceful action, knowing that, like Ruth was saying, this is like the largest ICE presence that exists. We've shared out a website that tracks them in real time as well, iceout.org. And that's right, we have 10% of the country's immigrants, and we have all of the ICE agents, right? Like 90% of them are here. And so we know that they're making an example of the city. That's very clear. And they're wanting to provoke. People are sending agitators all over the place. We can talk about what the bulk of that public safety meeting was too, just to let the general public know about what's happening Saturday. But if there are other immediate tips about like tribal IDs or other things, I want to kick to Ruth, because she's been really, really in the details of bringing on lawyers to support our people too. And so she'd probably have tips beyond what I shared.
Yeah, Ruth, you're up and spitball it. But one of the things, we got another minute left here in this segment. One of the things or 2 minutes, I should say. One of the things I'd like to ask you too is what Nikki said about what happened the day of the assassination, and it was an assassination, and how did Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center respond to that, because that was insane and very close to your building.
Every Wednesday we have a weekly check-in with our employees and our contract workers and volunteers at 9 a.m. So we were in a pretty deep discussion, and we were actually talking about tribal IDs too. So. But yeah, we were all here, and then we eventually did a shelter in place, advising. At first it was, receiving word from the outside of the building and family members reaching out to us and sharing, of what happened. And then just fact checking, and then moving from there and just deciding, shelter in place. And then we went over to another MUD subcommittee meeting for that's scheduled, every other Wednesday across the street at All Nations for unsheltered and opioid. And so we went over there to, see what the game plan was, or see what the community was going to start doing. So that was just taking immediate action, but to first and foremost, keep our staff and the client relatives safe and protected as much as we can.
Hey, thanks. We're going to get back in a minute here. We're with Ruth Buffalo, CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, and Nikki Love, who is CEO of Tiwahe Foundation here in the Twin Cities. We're going to be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern, Diani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations, and Diani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 13, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 19. Grab your elegant box of French macarons from Nicolette's Macarons in Plymouth, conveniently located off Highway 169 and 36th Avenue. Stop in their store or place your online order at nicolettesmacarons.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilo. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're here with Ruth Anna Buffalo, CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here, and Nikki Love, who's also the CEO of Tiwahe Foundation. And it's always awesome for me to have powerful women on like yourselves to speak our truth and talk about what's going on. One of the things that you mentioned, Nikki, in the last segment was, and I know this happened so much with George Floyd, we had people with masks coming in from all over and trying to burn buildings down and break windows and terrorize the neighborhood. So we have to really be vigilant on that too, in a sense of keep our eyes peeled. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and just one thing, if it's the time to do it, it sounded like a good segue to really talk about this weekend, this Saturday on the 17th. We were told that there would be a large, organized, targeted march, they're saying, against Minnesota fraud. That's like the front or the call to action. Heard they might be Proud Boys. We talked about the danger and the catalyst for violence. Again, kind of thinking that that's the goal, that the targeted areas where I guess that we've heard are both City Hall and the Riverside Cedar, right, apartments, stacks, and then other parts of probably South Minneapolis. So that's one thing that we've heard. There's going to be a surge of those folks. Many of them are already here. We've already heard of agitators that are trying to rile up peaceful protests. But this is going to be a concentrated effort. Not sure what else, like public, in terms of public news or public domain, has been shared, but that was one of the focal points of today. And if I missed anything, Ruth can probably cover it, but that's really, that was the discussion because of that clear and present danger. And I thought Ruth brought up something incredibly important that added to the conversation about keeping our city safe by calling in, law enforcement from outside of Minnesota as well. And she has experience in those kind of actions before. So I really wanted to make sure that we talk about that.
Yeah, Ruth, do you want to talk a little bit about that, please?
Sure, I can speak to it a little. Thanks, Nikki. It's just seeing, the timeline or things that kind of remind you of certain things from different timelines, I guess. So yeah, I just kind of referenced what happened in North Dakota and with the oversaturation of law enforcement from neighboring states or within the region, who showed up at Standing Rock to protect a pipeline. And it's pretty clear, the people here of South Minneapolis and greater Minnesota are asking for protection. And, it was shared that local law enforcement is short-staffed, and I think it's been shared all along. And in an effort to provide solutions, that was something that came up, was just, who can it be done and who can make that call, basically, because this does seem like the facts are there, and it does seem, we don't want to be reactionary or reactive, but we have to take proactive measures and try to do everything we can to protect the people and prevent further tragedies from happening. So it's kind of where that thought came from.
That's awesome, because I think of it as a switcheroo, because when I was at Standing Rock, we had Hennepin County sheriffs beating up Indians. And so I like the way you're thinking there, Ruth Anna. That's good. And we already know, Nikki, that there are more ICE agents than there are policemen in St. Paul and Minneapolis. So that's an awesome idea.
I also like that. I think I wrote this down in my notes, Ruth, directly when you were talking. You're like, hey, they were called in from other states to protect a pipeline, and we're asking them to come in to protect people. So if you could do it for a pipeline, could you do it for people, like citizens of the country? And that's where it goes to, what is the goal? What are those like goals for everything that's happening in the city of Minneapolis? And I have, I'm sure like all of us do, I have a lot of friends. I've lived other places in other cities like Boston area and Chicago. And unless you're actually here, you don't know. And I just keep raising that up because so much of this is promoting actually anti-American agendas, and it's violating constitutional rights, and it's everything that would actually blow your mind if you were actually to be here on site. So I think that's an important message that needs to be fanned out, is that you think you're supporting like those Americans that support ICE. I think they think they're supporting something that is not actually happening in real practice. And it's scary how media can work, right?
Yeah, well, and that's why I think it's so important to have you and Ruth Anna. And Ruth Anna comes on and speaks her truth quite often, but I think it's important that we do. I noticed MSNBC, or their MS now, I was watching them, and they were broadcasting that there were people coming from all over to witness this. So that's a good on you, Nikki, to bring that up, and we welcome that. Ruth Anna, it's just... again, we went through Standing Rock. We went through George Floyd. We've also gone through the murder of our one of our representatives here, and then we had a shooting in the school. This is just weighing heavy, and you again being a leader with MUD, along with Nikki and many other nonprofits. This has just got to be wearing on you.
Well, I mean, like Nikki mentioned earlier, it's just kind of finding the humor in things, or trying to laugh when we can. So, just joking with private conversations we had amongst our staff, even from the drive from the Indian Center to here, 2 blocks away. But just trying to always laugh when we can and make sure we're taking care of each other. And like you both mentioned, the community has really come together and, shown our resilience. Unfortunately, we have to always shine through and show our resilience in times like this. But we were just joking. I'll just share real quickly. But I was telling this to my daughter, because my daughter's home on Christmas break. They gave him almost a whole month off. But anyhow, we were joking, and but I was telling her, I'm really sorry, that we moved to Minnesota. I was like, I thought it was going to be peaceful and a little break from our home state, and the riffraff that's ongoing there. But we were just kind of like, kind of speechless, I guess, but making it through and adjusting and staying strong, really, in prayer and being, making sure we're aware of how we're doing, and making sure we're taking care of each other and trying to eat healthy and drink more water, for sure. So.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things, Nikki and Ruth Anna, but I'll go to you, Nikki, is that the resilience of Native Americans, and how quickly organizations like MUD or your organization, or especially Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, because they're so boots on the ground too, constantly, how quick that came about with the way we're being attacked. And basically we are being attacked by the federal government. And I just think it's amazing. And the resilience of Native Americans and our allies have just been, the world is watching us.
Yeah, that's been a subject. I know we've talked about that a lot, making Minneapolis the example again, and the world and the country especially is watching what happened during, the aftermath of George Floyd in the immediate days. And again, a lot of learning on how to organize quickly, how to uphold peace, to not give more cause or reason for violence. And I think what we're seeing now is like how we react in this time. It sets another precedent, because unlike the time of George Floyd, that was very localized to Minneapolis. What was happening, there were, yes, riots in other cities. There was, right, all of that kicked the dust off of things that had been long existing, right? Like when we talk about racial reckoning, that wasn't obviously just Minneapolis. It's everywhere, nationally and globally. But in this case, everyone in the country, if you look at that iceout.org, has ICE activity. Again, 90% of it's probably here, but this is not going away anytime soon. That's what everyone is saying. And some hopefuls are like, maybe it's just this full court press for the next couple of weeks. I think most of us know it's not. When we talked about COVID, a new normal, is this another new norm? And so with that being said, if we don't call on our people, if we don't think about those civil disobedience, those community protectors and people coming in like they did for Standing Rock, if we're not mobilizing our people in those ways, it's going to have a ripple effect across all the other major cities that are experiencing this, right?
Yeah.
And one person, one of our leaders that shared in the meeting today, they said, right, they're trying to incite violence, and I think Minneapolis is the test city, and I think their goal is to incite enough violence from our people that they can incite or declare, martial law. And I know that's, for some, it feels like a conspiracy theory. For others, it feels like we've read it in textbooks, and it maybe seems like deja vu. But yeah, not to sensationalize, but these are the types of conversations that we're having here in Minneapolis. And these are not people that are internet trolls or, media influencers. These are like the very grounded and elders within our community as well. So I just say that for those that are not here, it's not to sensationalize what the real threat is for not just us, but for your cities as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really believe that, this is the first I've heard about the Proud Boys coming on and rallying. So I'm glad we're bringing out that information across to Turtle Island, because a lot of people have thought that ICE has a lot in there. There's been quite a few showings, at least that I've seen on social media, about a lot of the Proud Boys are ICE. And so that's a very interesting thing. And we're going to talk more about this. And we're here with Nikki Love and Ruth and Anna Buffalo. And this is Native Roots Radio. And this is a heavy show. Thanks for being on. We'll be right back. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hicha, wecha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Hey, we're with Ruth Anna Buffalo, CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, and Nikki Love, CEO of Tiwahe Foundation. Nikki, do you mind putting out that phone number again for everyone to hear now that they got their pencil? Because I'm sure on the radio a lot of people are driving and stuff, so I'd like to amplify that. And I know you mentioned iceout.org too.
Yep, and I'll just say my nephew, who's 16, shared the iceout.org with me, and I know that's been widely shared, and I said, yep, look at our youth. He's like 5 steps ahead, and even some of the tips. But that number for Native American Rights Fund, if you should be detained, that's why you want to write it on your person, is 303-447-8760.
Good,
and
I
then
was one number off.
and I will say, and then I want to double check that maybe too, but always double check, because it is very critical that you get that right. But mn.org and our MUD community group, it's on Facebook. It's open and public, most of our posts. So that's another place to find real-time info. So for folks that are out there, you might want to double check that number. I always like to think I have a good memory, but it's really important to double check it.
Well, being a baby elder, I have a good memory, but it's short. I just wanted to let everyone know that all over. So yeah, good information to get out there. You know, we have we're on, like I said, over 30 stations live, or not live, but in Wisconsin. And we have people that are totally interested in what's happening here, and not to be totally, with these other news agencies that have been totally taken over by MAGA and the Trump regime. So I'm so grateful to have you guys on here speaking truth and boots on the ground. Ruth, we only got a couple more minutes last segment. Ruth, what do you want to say here to our community, to your relatives, and to the people that are listening? Hate to put you on the spot, but you are on radio. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would just say for sure, fact check, is important, and to really take care of yourself. But yeah, rest when you can, and it's okay to even take a break from social media or the news, because it just seems to, it's can take a toll on you if that's all you're seeing and hearing. So just take time for yourself and really try to take care of yourself and others. I would say that's kind of what comes top of mind. I know there's a lot of different areas in the community that are activated for, bringing forth our traditional medicines, or just holding space for people to convene. And sit by a fire and offer a sema or tobacco, just to stay grounded as much as we can. And yeah, just kind of try to take care of yourself, I would say, for sure, and then help others if you can.
Absolutely. Hey, Ruth, I just have one more question. I'll have more questions, but this is a question about, have you ever put up the basketball hoop?
Not yet.
Dang, because I'd be over there.
Put something on the wall at least. But no,
Yeah.
I haven't, not yet.
Okay, I'm just checking because I know we've talked about that.
You're welcome to bring one, though.
Oh, good one. Yeah, putting it on me. I like that. I have a small one for you that will work in your office. But
Sure.
yeah, good one.
I
Yeah,
think,
you know,
and I think she could dunk on you, Robert. I think she.
Oh,
easy
it's
there.
challenge. Right here, fundraiser.
Oh,
Just kidding.
that's a good fundraiser. Yeah.
Oh, I'm more of a dunk tank kind of guy. But because I used to be 6'2", and now I'm shrinking old man. I think I'm like 6 foot now. So you probably could dunk on me. I can touch the rim still.
I
Yeah.
shrunk a bit too, and I'm under 5 feet now, so I'm not.
Oh.
Yeah, you both could easily dunk on me.
Well, again, we have this is the last segment. Nikki, we've been all over the place in a good way. How would you like to put this in a bow for our listening audience? Especially, we have so many white allies too that listen to us all over civic media and AM 950, and we have such a great crowd that would watch us live on a lot of different social media. Blue Sky being one of them, and YouTube. What do you want to tell our listening audience and viewing audience, because they can see us if they're on those?
And that's like, that old joke, like a face fit for radio, but now radio has visuals. So, I was gonna say, one of the things we've heard from our people, despite what might feel like the obvious, is that actually being with our people is the safest place to be. So having like that powwow grounds as a hub, having those things in some of our other communities that are most directly impacted, just wanting to encourage us to also be linking together what those community organizing efforts are on the ground, so that we can make sure we're not just looking out for our communities, but theirs, and vice versa. And knowing, again, I think it was Mary said, one of the elders who spoke at the prayer on Sunday, a lot of our people have like many rivers flowing through them, right? They're multiple backgrounds, but I think it's not the time for isolated efforts. I really want to emphasize that, and the coming together. So find people and networks of people that are keeping people safe. And I know for those that are allies, they often think of institutions to donate to and to fund. That's great, but also find ways, and we'll hopefully be able to share more opportunities to find ways to fund the people that are keeping us safe, our own, on the ground. And lastly, I guess I would just say, we always feel like, oh, I got to do something big, right? Especially at a moment of time like this. But I just uplift all of the people that are checking on their neighbors, especially those that are elderly or those that have small children, because we know that some of their family members, especially the income earners, are just disappearing. They're not coming home after their shift, story after story. So making sure that maybe you do a grocery run for them. Maybe you drive them to their appointments, because if they drive themselves, they're targeted, right? Think of different ways that you can be a good neighbor, a good relative. And nothing is too small. Holding space for people, MIWRC and other orgs are also opening up their doors for healing, sharing medicines, sharing healing space with people as well. So that's very important too at a time like this. Your small efforts matter, and don't be alone.
Yeah, don't be alone. That's a great one. And then overshare where you are at. I really like that. I heard that Saturday during your the MUD press conference. That was really struck me in a good way. It's like, overshare where you're going and overshare to your relatives. So we got a minute left here. I want real quick, Ruth Anna, I want to put out the word on how we can support Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, and then Nikki too, talk about MUD and also the great group Tiwahe too, how we can support them. But first, you, Ruth Anna.
Sure. We have a website, miwrc.org/donate. But if you go to our website, miwrc.org, a donate button will pop up in the middle of the screen. So, thank you.
Yeah, great to see you again, Ruth Anna. And Nikki, if you want to give a little shout out to Tiwahe and also to MUD and how people can get in support, because I know there's a lot of things and money and things like that are coming to the powwow grounds.
Yeah, you could directly resource powwow grounds, donate. MUDMN.org will have a lot of the direct links that go to like Indigenous Protectors Movement. And so I would direct there to find like a fuller resource list. I would also say, not developed yet, but one thing that we've been talking about internally but need to have a deeper talk is how can we, like we did in COVID times, have funds for those folks that can't go in our community, that can't go to work or afraid to go to work, and groceries, all the things that we talk about. So that's a stay tuned. I would just say though, keep the location services off your phone if you can, because now they got scramware, whatever they call it, to track phones. So yeah, you want to tell people where you are, but you don't want to be sharing locations. That's the newest thing that we heard last year or so.
Wow, great information. A big peeny-gigi for you guys coming on. We will be in touch because with these updates are so important to our community and everyone that's interested. Thank you so much, Nikki Love and our friend Ruth Anna Buffalo. Peeny-gigi, you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Chimagwech, Minodevacot. Have a good night.
The Walker Arts Center